just kind of stuff. Well, what do you want to know? John, that's all. He's currently with ISPART, and is very active in apologetics. Please do jump in and ask. And we're really pleased to hear from him today.
I should note that ISPART is the Institute for the Study and Preservation of Ancient Religious Texts, BYU. It is not to be confused with the ISPART, which is the Institute for the Study of Communist History in Moscow, nor with the ISPART that is the Hittite verb to escape, which is probably what you'd all like to do rather than listen to. The Book of Mormon talks a little bit about its, mentions Egypt in its background. It's used in part of its writing and forms of background in its language. In the past, many people have poo-pooed this notion that ancient Israel was ever mixed up with the Egyptians. So I'm just going to talk about some of the evidence that comes out. I'm going to start with a quotation from a massive 4,000-page doctoral dissertation by Greg Mumford, which he completed at the University of Toronto in 1998. His dissertation, which for obvious sort of logistical reasons has not been published, is entitled International Relations Between Egypt, Sinai, and Syria, Palestine during the Late Bronze Age to Early Persian Periods, Dynasties 18 to 26, about 1550 to 525 BC, and I'll leave out the subtitle. He looked at about 34 different sites throughout Syria, Palestine, and Sinai. Looked at all the Egyptian and Egyptianizing artifacts, covered his, divided his time period into about 19 to 20 different time period, different intervals, roughly about every 50 years, and looked at went through the archaeological reports and did an extensive analysis of them. And this is from his conclusions. If you ever get a chance to look at the dissertation, this is on page 3,986. And he says, an examination of the overall Egyptianizing artifact proportions from cultic mortuary occupation in combined context at Syro-Palestinian sites yields clear peak in Egyptian activity during Late Bronze 1B, 1450 to 1400 BC, Late Bronze 2B to Iron 1A, 1200 to 1150 BC, Early Iron 2B, 925 to 850 BC, and Late Iron 2B to Iron 2C, 750 to 600 BC. So that's precisely a peak at the time of Lehi. And we actually have a sort of chart showing you from selected sites where there are peaks in the percentage of Egyptian artifacts. And unfortunately, this is only percentage, it doesn't tell you the numbers. So a 3% may represent 3,000 artifacts, it depends on the site. But what I thought I would look at is to show you some iconographic evidence. I just brought some slides to show you, showing some of the Egyptian influence in Israel in the 7th and 8th centuries BC. So this is roughly the time from, say, Isaiah to Lehi. And all of these artifacts are Israelite artifacts that come from that time. So we'll just sort of consider them one by one. The first one here, as you can see, is a scarab beetle. I hope. These are Israelite seals, and we'll start off with the one showing the scarabs. The first one here shows a very nice Egyptian scarab beetle with the wings out, pushing the solar disk across the sky with a nice Hebrew inscription saying belonging to Ur. It was bought on the antiquities market in Jerusalem. It's supposed to be from the area of Hebron. It's currently in Tel Aviv. This is an amethyst scaraboid. Unfortunately, this is just the impression of it, which at least lets the Hebrew be read in the correct direction. These were seals designed to stamp on letters and other things to let you know who owned them or wrote them. The next one is currently in France. Location is not known. It depicts a human-headed Egyptian scarab with wings. This actually represents one of the winds. And with a nice Hebrew inscription saying this belongs to Bilto or Bilta. Of course, the Hebrew doesn't write vowels. The next one actually is a royal one. This one belonged to, according to the inscription, to Manasseh, the son of the king, and later would be king himself. Again, an Egyptian scarab with a beetle with the solar disk. Our next one belongs to a man by the name of Ahimelech, and he was the son of a man named Samach. You notice on the slide, his father's name is sort of worked in around the scarab on the top. His own name is at the bottom. Again, clear Egyptian influence. A nice little font over there on your left. Next one is not a scarab, but an actual seal impression. The back of this would be put on a papyrus, and for whatever reason, the papyrus is gone. This is just a lump of clay. This apparently belonged, from what we can read of it, to a man by the name of something like Damla. This was also found on the antiquities market, supposedly from the Hebron area. Next one is a fellow by the name of Hananiahu, son of Emet, and Emet is, of course, the Hebrew word for true. This one is flanked by two birds, a little bit unusual in that way. It's late 8th century in date. The next one I have here, this belongs to a man by the name of Saad Yahu. And again, this one is very nice as we've got a line drawing beside it. As you see, this is a fairly common motif during this time period. Same with the next one here. This is a man by the name of Shaphat, son of Yeddayahu. And we have two Ulai that have the same stamp on this. We're actually quite fortunate in that regard. In some cases, we have as many as 3. The next one is actually a royal a stamp from the royal seal of King Hezekiah, with a beautiful winged scarab beetle and a silver disc. And the last one we have is found on a jar handle. This is somebody stamped it in while they were still making this clay pot, and this belongs to Shebaniyahu, the son of the king. Unfortunately, we don't know which king. Now, moving from those stamped seals, or from ones depicting scarabs, we have also a whole series of them that show winged Uraei. So these are cobras, which are native to Egypt, depicted with wings, shown in classic Egyptian style. And the first one is one of 3 bulla